Hey everyone, David Richter here with Nicholas Nick, exciting guest, and I am super excited to have him on. He is the CEO of Lead Mining Pros. He's also worked in the restaurant industry and the real estate industry. He has a ton of knowledge and experience. He's also like a numbers guy too, like one of those, the entrepreneurs that actually likes digging into the numbers and feeling like a business owner. So that's what we're going to talk about today, his background. So Nick, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, David.
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, I'm going to ask the question that everyone wants to ask. Nicholas Nick, have you gotten made fun of your whole life for that, or do you love your name?
Well, I think the best summary is I had a cashier ask me at Starbucks once,
Yeah.
and she said, "What is it like to have the same first name as your last name?" And I think the quickest response was that I get held extremely accountable for all of my actions. And
Okay.
that's because nobody ever forgets who I am.
Right.
Not only is the name clearly something, but my personality matches the
Oh
name.
yeah, it does.
So
A
you
hundred percent.
you put us both together and you're never like, who was that guy again? So if I ever did something wrong
Yeah.
or had a bad reputation, then I would actually be hurting like the next time. I wasn't the kid in the back of the class who everyone forgot, like when
Right.
he fell asleep. Like everyone knows when Nick skipped school because there's not all this talking coming out of the other side of the classroom.
Yeah. Well, okay. I just wondered. I'm sure that a lot of people would wonder, like listening to the podcast, and I want to get that question out of the way so we could get to the real stuff. So, tell people about your background because I know you worked in the restaurant industry. Even before we started recording, you talked about like how that prepared you being CEO and CFO of your business and numbers and how important they were. So, I guess just tell everyone just that high level overview, and then we can go into the nitty gritty questions.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. So I had a really unique background. I came up as a restaurant employee. I was a cook for 2 years. And then, lucky for me, I had a natural management skill thanks to my father. And
Okay.
he was always pounding diplomacy and communication into me. And
Yeah.
my dad he was into building trusses, roof trusses, you
Okay.
know. So that's all math, So growing up, math homework was always very interesting because my dad was so good at it. But anyways, that led into my restaurant career. Now, what a
Okay.
lot of people don't know about restaurants is that the P&L actually runs the restaurant. When you get to work, you go to the spreadsheet, you pull up the P&L, and it tells you what to work on. If you spent too much money yesterday on employees, well, guess what, Buttercup? You got to send employees home today and make up for
Oh
what you
wow.
wasted yesterday, right? So it was like if you could like play a video game that managed a P&L, that's what restaurants were. And now one of the reasons why lead mining is an amazing profit machine, I'll share with everyone my business is about 65 to 75% profit, which is really high. That's due to a couple things. One, what the restaurant industry taught me. And two, I carry a lot of roles myself. Okay.
Okay.
So, I'm not going to lie to you, David. You throw in one $200,000 a year employee into my operations, and I'm not that profitable.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. But because what of the restaurant did to me, it made me a CFO. It made me a CEO. It made me a director of human resources
Yeah.
because restaurants don't have those positions, right? It's up to you to manage all of it. So now I'm able to wear four hats and it doesn't drain me because it's what I did for 12 years as a manager. So it's really cool. And on top of that, the systems that restaurants teach you, the follow through, the process. Like I joke and I say, I used to teach people that didn't even speak English how to work at a restaurant. So imagine how good I am with someone who actually speaks English, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I've got all this experience with employees. And so it's kind of cool the way it's all come together because if you look at my business now, about $1 million a year, 30 employees strong, 65% profit, it's easy to forget that the restaurant industry literally built me brick by brick, whether I saw it that way at the time or not, right?
Right.
Because I hated that career while I was in it. I hated it after I quit it. But now that I'm 8 years removed, I'm like, dude, this is literally my Bible story. Like, I trekked through the desert for so many years to learn the lessons to now know how to live a beautiful life, you know?
No, that's awesome because it was almost like another college education, right? Because that's what I feel like my early days in real estate were. It's like
Yes,
way better than any college education that I got. It was
absolutely.
that real world application.
Yes.
Okay, so you say you had to like run that by the P&L the next day. So was that a part of that becoming the CFO or like knowing the numbers? Like, would you have gone into business if you weren't in the restaurant business? Would you have been? Do you think you would have been as strong as? Because I see your post today. And I love the post where you're like, you're open with your numbers and you're like, this is what I'm tracking and stuff. And it's very eye opening. Like Nick knows his numbers. Like I know that he loves this. So do you think you would have been like that? Because I don't know, maybe because of your dad or your background or those types of things that you would have had that innately or no? Like, no, I would have just been running and gunning and hopefully been
So,
profitable.
yeah, I'll be honest with you. My P&L now, I should show it to you, but it runs my whole business now.
Awesome.
And I feel like would I have still created this business? Yes, I probably
Awesome.
would have. Would I have 4 cars, $1 million property, and be surrounded by murals? No, I'd probably be stressed out, wondering where all my money is, not knowing. But the P&L, what it is for me is, and I wish we had more time. I'd actually pull mine up. I'm not transparent, but I see everything. How many dials we did, how many hours we took to dial, how many dials we did per hour to see how that compares. And when you're open for 6 years and you have your weekly dials per hour for 6 years, you begin to see things differently. Like I can literally, you already know this, man, but I can literally see the future through numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll just share one small story just so they can get a little glimpse on what you and I already know. I ran IHOPs for 4 years. That was a big part of my experience.
Okay.
And IHOP, despite the late night crowd, was actually my best training experience of any restaurant job I've ever had. And one thing they did is they tracked sales by day part, 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., 8 a.m. to noon, noon to 4, 4 to 8, repeat.
Okay.
And I worked in 9 different IHOPs during my time. I was a traveling manager. And I can't even tell you how many times, because you manually filled out the hours or the sales, how
Yeah.
many times to literally the dollar that it was the same exact sales as 1 year ago on the same day at the same time. And when you start to see how cyclical this world really is, you start to really respect numbers a lot more. And I began, so that's kind of what taught me that whole thing was seeing how cyclical everything is.
Okay. Wow, that is crazy and incredible, and
Crazy.
that gave you very healthy respect for the number side, which is great because now I like the profit margins that you're running, those types of
Right,
things, which is incredible. So
right.
it sounded like though, back when you were in it, that you did not like it. Was it the daily grind? Was it the training? Was it the restaurant smell? Was it the long hours? Like, what was it about that experience
No,
that was like, or was it all of it? And like, I hate
no,
it all.
I'll be honest with you, man. I loved it for so
Okay.
long. So when I said I hated it, I did misspeak a little bit because I was
Okay.
only channeling my energy after I left the industry.
Okay.
So
That makes
after I left the industry, I was really mad at myself for being so skilled and sticking around in such a low skilled environment for so long, if I could be
okay.
honest.
That makes
While
sense.
I was in it, bro, I was like a barbarian in battle, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, I loved firing people. I loved hiring people. I loved problems. I loved solutions. And that love actually kept me there for 12 years, stupid and happy. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, literally, I think you're close to my generation. I was such a good manager. My customers were happy, my employees were happy. Like when I was around, everybody was happy. But in the end, it was me. who wasn't happy.
Mm.
And I was looking around. I felt like Santa Claus. Like I'm bringing all these presents to all these people and no one's brought me anything, right?
Yeah.
And I realized, and this is what they say, no one's coming to save you. I can
Yeah.
guarantee you it's every restaurant employee's dream to have a customer who's rich, identify their skill set and give them a job and rip them out of the restaurant industry. Okay. And technically, that's what I almost was waiting for. I'm going to be the best manager ever. And one day Bill Gates is going to walk in and he's going to give me a job. Okay. And I realized that it's up to me to
Yeah.
do that for myself. And I will say I've learned that a lot of careers, when I've spoken to other entrepreneurs, about 12 years, that feeling that I had seems to kick in for a lot of people. And for me, the reason that really staled me out, burnt me out, was there was no new problems. I knew how to handle stealing employees. I knew how to handle hair in the food. I knew how to handle people calling into work. Like I remember I just say, please, something new. Just give me something new to solve, you know?
Yeah.
And so those are the parts that I didn't like in the end.
Okay. No, that makes sense because that's you almost felt like a caged animal. You know, like I wanted to go out there and hunt, but I couldn't really, and I was waiting for someone to come open the door, but no one's opening it for me.
That's right.
So
And that's what actually what I was getting at when I mentioned your generation is it literally, I never understood that Smashing Pumpkins song until this moment. And I was like, despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage. And
yeah.
except for me, it was despite all my greatness. Like I'm showing up so hard for all these people and there's still no claw game coming and ripping me out of this world,
Yeah.
you know?
So what'd you do? So how'd you go from that to like the real estate industry or your next venture?
Dude, I walked out. I walked
Wow.
out. So my job forced me to. They transferred me to a new restaurant. This is a true story. They transferred me to a new restaurant and we're salary. So I'm only making 65 G's a year, no matter what, no matter how
Wow.
many hours I work. So they transferred me to a new restaurant and I showed up and I'm scheduled 6 days a week, 15 hours a day.
Woo.
Okay. That's 90 hours a week for
Yeah.
anyone who needs a calculator. And it was for 6 weeks. It was a 6 week schedule. And let me tell you, you can already probably tell by my personality, I'm not a pushover. Okay.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I was gonna say, oh well.
oh, shucks, guys, and so I called the vice president and I said, I don't know what the hell's going on here. Oh, and by the way, everyone else was scheduled 5 days. Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know what's going on here. My rule is I'll work what the team works. If we're all working 6 days, 15 hours, I'll work 6 days, 15 hours.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the only one doing anything. Okay. And they said they fixed it. I showed up to work the next day. I'm 2 days in to this schedule and they didn't fix it. And I was like, I've been here for 5 years. I've got tons of tenure. If this is how you want to treat me. And I was already, for the record, I was already going to quit in December if I couldn't find another job. I was already burnt out. They
Okay.
literally started the fire that started burning my boats.
Right.
I was like, all right. And I left them and I sat unemployed for 9 weeks. Okay. And not
Yeah.
on purpose. I applied to every job in the world. And I applied to this job that was a real estate education company that taught people how to invest. Okay. It was an awesome experience. And they had an interview and they didn't hire me. And 2 weeks later, as the desperation grows, right?
Right.
For multiple reasons. One, I've been working 70 hours a week for 12 years. Okay. And two, I don't feel good about not earning income.
Yeah.
And I followed up with them and I go, hey guys, I feel like we had a great talk. And I've never followed up with the position ever before in my life.
Yeah.
And they said, Nick, we totally forgot about you. Can you start tomorrow?
Wow.
And that, yeah, insane. And
Yeah.
that was I had no idea what real estate was. I'd been flipping burgers for 9 freaking
Right.
years.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even know that. And then this was mentorship. So like we're like selling therapy sessions with real estate investors to help people who want to be real estate investors. Like I was like, what is this world that I'm in? You know? I
Oh,
worked there for 3 months, David, before I even knew what the hell they did. I swear to God. I was
that's
just
great.
but my problem solving, we spoke about that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, what led me here in as short and as few words as possible, I'm a little long winded, please forgive me. But what got me here was I was solving their problems. Our students were very disappointed that direct mail wasn't working. Okay.
Mm,
And direct mail has a cost to the government. Like you
right.
can't even get around that cost,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
There's no cheaper way. And I started teaching people this free method that you may have heard of. It's
Yeah.
called cold calling. And so I actually created this business 3 years before I created it, but I
Nice.
didn't know it. I was teaching people how to cold call, not because I knew it was the way, but because it was simply free as long as you had a cell phone.
Yeah.
And everyone was complaining about the cost of direct mail. So we started teaching all these people how to cold call, and it worked. And then when that job came to an end, as all jobs do, I realized that I was onto something, and I started cold calling every day. And our first 6 months, true story, I went from making $67,000 a year, even as an executive at that education company. My
Yeah.
first 6 months with lead mining, we did $360,000 in
Wow.
sales. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's quite a change. So that's
Dude,
awesome.
I was still living in a 900 square foot apartment with my girlfriend, her son, and a roommate.
Oh,
So I
wow.
was, dude, that's how much I was hurting whenever this business blew up.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. So, how long were you at that education company then?
Three
That you did
years.
3 years. So the
3 years.
first 3 months were like, okay, what are we even doing? And then it was
Yeah.
like, then learning the actual real estate investing ropes. How long have you had a lead mining up and running?
So we're 6 years this year.
Really?
Yeah.
6 years? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. You probably know the numbers more than I do on this side because you know of the CFO background, but
Yeah.
man, I'm so blessed. And after 6 years, we've really hit our stride. Like I don't even really need much marketing anymore. Or, I mean, we're almost like Kleenex nowadays,
Yeah.
almost,
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Awesome. So then lead mining is cold calling, correct? So that's where you're going in there, and then just so people know what you're teaching
Yeah.
now and what you're providing. So just talk a little bit about what you're actually providing for
Yeah. So
real estate
what
investors.
I've created at Lead Mining that makes us incredibly unique is we're a done for you system where we pull the list, we skip trace it, we cold call it, and we text it. And so you don't have to pay a cold calling company. You don't have to find a dialer. You don't have to pay texting overhead. And I think you probably know as well as I do, working with all these investors, the subscription costs alone to manage all those services before you even pick up the phone and start working is going to exceed probably $800 a month if you've
Yeah.
got the texting and the calling and all this stuff. And so what I offer is no contracts, no commitments, no setup fees. Every single product we offer is individually single serving. So you can come in and choose to work with me. And one of my clients earlier just today said, I can't believe you don't do contracts. And I said, I like my clients the same way I like my girlfriends. And if I just met my girlfriend and she had one great date with me, I wouldn't make her sign a contract saying she was going to spend the next year with me,
Yeah.
And that's not a way to kick things off. I want her to wake up and want to be by my side. I want my clients to want to be in my life. So I'll be honest with you. The reason why I don't do contracts is very selfish because it feeds my ego when clients want to be here,
Yeah.
not me going, I got them. They're never going anywhere. No, I got them because they are making a powerful decision to be with my team.
No, that's awesome. So this has been an interesting journey to get to this point. So now owning your business for 6 years, do you think that, and you're still sitting in some of those seats, correct? Because you said that you you've got a great profit margin because you're doing a lot of that. Do
Yeah.
you enjoy working in the business still and being like that person, or do you see yourself getting out of it in the future?
So my goal, at the advice of Tom Kroll,
Yeah.
um, is I'm going to spend the next 2 years doing what I'm doing now.
Cool.
Okay. At least one. But my goal is two, super hands on. Next year doing this. And I think at the end of this year, I'm going to hire someone to replace me. And, I was doing the math and I was like, God, Nick, if you're making $700,000 a year and net, and you pay someone $120,000 to do everything that you're doing right now, well, yeah, that's still 580.
Yeah.
And I just got my whole life back.
Right.
And maybe I get to fall into things I like. Now, however, I will rebuttal by saying that because I have 30 employees, I don't do anything I don't enjoy. Right?
Okay.
That's what employees are for. No offense
Right.
to employees nationwide. But like, you're there. If your boss loved doing it, they wouldn't have you there. Right? And me, I don't. So I don't like making the calls. I don't like doing the text messaging, but dealing with the people is a huge passion of mine. And I then again revert to the restaurant days. I mean, I was shaking hands and kissing babies for 1,000 people a day for
Yeah.
13 years. It's so natural for me to interact.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I love. I definitely want to step away more from system supervision.
Okay.
Okay. Like, I love the people. I'll talk to customers till I'm 70, right?
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily want to be the investigator when a system breaks. Or like right now, I'm also the main system creator and the main accountability manager and the main implementer, right? I would probably love to give those away and then just supervise someone else doing all of that.
Yeah.
However, I also respect that I'm a genius at those things. So finding someone to meet my level of know-how and determination in those levels is not easy either,
Sure.
you know?
No, I get it. I get it. It's hard to hand off the baby to other
Yeah.
people to be able to do, to be able to run it and to be able to go to the next level.
Yeah.
But okay, well, this has been an interesting journey. So restaurants, real estate education, then you've got the lead mining.
Yeah.
Do you see lead mining taking you off into the sunset, or do you see it as like, I don't know, do you want to do other things in
You
as
know,
businesses?
I want to do other things only because I don't want to be a one trick pony.
Sure.
So I'll be honest with you. I really want to create a physical invention. All right.
Okay.
I've got this great idea right now that's funny and fun and true called, I'm calling the bed straw. Okay. Like,
Okay.
I get really thirsty while I'm laying down in bed and
Yeah.
I fucking hate sitting up to like get a sip of water. It sounds
Yeah.
stupid, right?
That's
Well, it's
great.
like, but dude, imagine just having like a hose and a water cooler next to your bed and you're just like, oh yeah. Like, you're like a baby drinking from a bottle again.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you, like, I get really thirsty at night. And then sometimes, because I'm an entrepreneur, I can't sleep. So I'm like, I'm getting like a cramp in my shoulder from sitting up to drink. But so, my goal is to really create a physical invention. Um, I do think lead mining will take care of me for the rest of my life, to
Yeah.
answer that question. Do I want it to be where all my eggs are in that basket? Not really. I want to buy distressed businesses and make them better if I had a dream. And I want to bring lead mining to 5 mil a year. And then I just want to have properties on the side as well,
Cool.
some income.
No, that's awesome. I just wondered where you thought the next steps were going to take you.
Yeah.
I do want to hit on one point you mentioned a while ago. You said you see the future through numbers, and I'm wondering how if that's still applicable today in your business, because obviously it sounds like in the restaurant business it was like I could have looked back a year and it's almost to the penny,
Right.
on this specific day at this certain time. How about for like lead mining pros or the what you have today? Is it guessing it's not as like this is 100% the same as last year, but how does that help you know the numbers now to be able to
Well,
predict the
so
future?
now the way I see the future is through my KPIs.
Okay.
So, for example, we see a different future, right? So, I think as the CFO role comes in, I'm more or less looking for mistakes than bonuses,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, hey, how many dials did we have last week?
Yeah.
Okay, how many did we roll over? All right, well, if we rolled over this many, that means I'm short on employees,
Mm,
right? And I track all that on my P&L. My P&L is not just costs and money; it's performance,
yeah.
and it's follow through. It's what's happening next week. So that's an indicator. How many dials are being rolled over? The other one is leads per hour. If that it goes really low, that means I know someone's stealing from me,
Yeah.
right? So if my dials per hour drop, which it never does, I got a great team, thank the Holy Lord. But they don't even know I watch that number because I never hold it over their head. But I can immediately tell when someone's clocked in and not working. So I guess when I speak of seeing the future now, I'm more or less preventing a negative future
Yeah.
than seeing a positive one. I guess would be a way to look at it the way I'm using the numbers now.
Oh no, that's really good. I like that a lot. Where you're preventing that negative future instead of just seeing the positive one, because the positive one you can see through. You can really see that, like you said, through the KPIs. But then on the financial end, it's like, okay, I want to make sure I stay away from my death
Well,
line
where
and
are
like,
we trending?
yeah, exactly.
I've really been a lifelong mathematician. I call myself. Um, I've got a I've got a great quote that I'm sure you would love to steal, and it is: "If you're not good at math, you're never going to get rich."
Mm,
Okay, plain
yep.
and simple. If you don't know how to make 5 = 25, then you're not going to make your bank account multiply by 5 either. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's really been one of my greatest skill sets is the way that I see the numbers and maneuver around them. Again, the hard part becomes teaching that. It's almost like a numerical intuition that I
Right.
have. I call it like the matrix. Like all I see is numbers and I know exactly what to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And a lot of people don't have that financial intuition. So why do you think on a real estate investor they put off, like a typical real estate investor lives deal to deal, doesn't make the money, definitely doesn't have 65, 70% margins, like or net profit or whatever. Like, so why do you think they live, and a lot of people even might be listening right now, living deal to deal?
Yeah. So why do I think that they're in that position? Is that
Yeah,
the question?
why do you think they're in that position?
You know, great question, and I've got a great answer, but no one's going to like it. And it's it's
Say
it's
it.
be, it's because like my story is the reason why I'm successful. And I wasn't silver spooned. I wasn't given a great life. We were poor as hell growing up, you know. And what makes me successful is I learned to do everything as cheap as humanly possible myself.
Yeah.
And then when you do it as cheap as humanly possible and you're really good at it, that only means now that throwing money at it makes you better. And I think that the average person seeks to outsource, and even though I am an outsource, I know that they're going to, but they have to have some type of knowledge on it. Someone doesn't hire you if they're already, hey, I did $1 million, I got $900,000, I need a
Right.
CFO.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I'm a little upside down, I can't see through my problem. Can you help me fix this? And that's a wisdom. You want to know how far you can take it. So another example is my clients are happiest with us when they've cold called before they found us,
Mm,
right? So like just how your clients are happiest if they were running their own books before they
right.
found
Yeah.
you. They're like, oh my
Exactly.
God, I know how much you're helping me right
Yep.
now. And it's like, it's that person who is not overly committed to doing the task, but they're committed to dipping their toe in. I think that is the successful person. And I think that that's one of the main things because direct mail doesn't work. Cold call. Well, cold call yourself. Close your first deal. I'll tell you what. Don't call me with your last $300 and say, Nick, I need to close a deal.
Right.
Okay? Don't.
Yeah. No
You
kidding.
know, and you know, and I'll be honest, people say that to me. I need to make money. I'll tell you what, go buy Mojo Dialer, okay, and buy a list from us, and I'll give you the script for free. But do not give me your money if it's the last penny you have. That's not the place. And so, I think if we were to summarize all that advice, it's action taking for the sake of experience. And I think that's important, not for the sake of result, right? I don't give a shit. You know, I cold called for 3 months myself and I never closed a freaking deal. And I still was on that phone every day with the smile. And I gave myself what I call micro wins along the way. If my seller that I was talking to said, it was great talking to you, huge win. If they're like, have a great day, I'm like, huge win. If they're like, thank you so much for your time. So what I do, so now to deconstruct my advice, how do we get there? How do we keep doing things that we hate to get the experience that we need to get to the next level? Is you have to create wins other than the final win. Yeah. Just try being pleasant while eating shit all day. And then when you get good at that, then get good at the next part. And then once you have these skills, then leverage them into the next thing. And at least that's been my personal secret to success, is not being attached to the result. And I'm more attached to the experience that I'm getting.
Oh, that's really good. Be attached to the experience, not just the result, and making sure that you know where you are. And that's, I like what you said too. The people that like us the most or like you the most are the people that have done what they're trying to get accomplished, so they know, like, oh my gosh,
they know what we're doing. Yeah, when I have a client say, Nick, you got me 3 leads in 500 dials. They're like, I did 5,000 dials and I couldn't even get someone to pick up the phone. Like that person, I mean, that was probably a different problem, but people have said that to me, you know, but they have so much gratitude now.
Yeah.
As the burst.
No, that's awesome. So I guess just one final question. How do they get in touch with you? What's the best place to go for Lead Mining Pros or whatever else you want to send them to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So leadminingpros.com is the best way to find me. My cell phone number is actually on the website. So when I say I wear multiple hats, I am not kidding. Answering that phone is my favorite part of the job. And feel free to call and test it out. But the phone number on the site is my cell. And so if you take a look at the site, you have any questions, or you just want to test me and see if I actually answer my cell phone, feel free to give us a ring. And I would love to help anybody out who needs some assistance with their leads.
So leadminingpros.com if you're looking for a good cold calling company where Nick is going to personally help you and get you up and running with his team. So that's a great place to go. Nick, this has been awesome. Lots of good stuff. I love what you said. See the future through the numbers, making sure that you're doing some of this work so that way you know you have the experience, not just the results. You're going through and making sure for the things that you really need that you can have that experience as well too. So this has been great. And then if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know my numbers, or like I am not a math person, so I cannot get rich, according to Nick's advice here, then go to simplecfo.com where we have our fractional CFOs as well too, and can put one on your team to be an actual leader there to take all that financial crap off your plate because you don't enjoy it. If you ever done it, like Nick said, you don't like the bookkeeping or the CPA work, or if you're wondering where is all of my money going, go to simplecfo.com. We can help you find it and put more money in your pocket. And remember, make profit a habit in your business. Nick, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you, David.